Wow, I didn't expect that we would have Dave Lorenz of Travel Michigan joining us today. Dave, thank you very much. Welcome to the MegaCast, and thank you for joining us via Zoom. Good to have you on the program.
Nice to be with you, especially wearing as casual an attire I've ever worn for any interview ever.
I don't think I've ever seen you in the media or at any of the meetings that I run into you without a tie, Dave Lorenz.
Yeah, yeah. There's a silver lining to every bad situation, and not being able to wear a tie or being required to wear a tie today. I guess that's one little silver lining, isn't it?
Well, you can't see me, or our audience can. I get ties maybe 50% of the time. But I'm not a big shot like you. Dave leads our Travel Michigan effort here in Michigan at the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. We hear you on WJR with the Travel Michigan Show. You are the state's voice of travel. And, man, Dave Lorenz, what a challenging time we are in right now.
Really is for everybody, I know, and especially in Southeast Michigan. The rest of the state is pulling for you guys and praying for you every day. And you know, these things are scary for people. Any change is difficult. It's difficult for us. We're human beings where we don't take change very well, but especially something like this where we're not allowed to connect, and connections are so important. It's what Travel Michigan does. It's what the travel and tourism industry does, is it brings us together. And here we are, secluded in our homes, not being able to travel. It's difficult, but I'm here to tell you, this is not going to last forever. We will get through this. And even though I know there's this feeling of being alone, you're not alone. We are in this together. Keep on hearing that everywhere, but we really are. We're in this together. And I hope there's some comfort in knowing that this is not a challenge that we should feel alone in dealing with. And, with that thought, reach out to your friends and family. If you're dealing with the stress that we're all dealing with, you're feeling anxious, nervous, share that with your friends and family. And if you do that, you might help them as well. So we'll get through this. It's a tough time for all of us, especially the travel and tourism industry. It's going to be a while before we get back. But interestingly enough, our industry is the first to get hurt with something like this. We'll be the first to come out of it too. And we're going to help the state move forward. It's the way it always goes.
Dave Lorenz of Travel Michigan joining it. What is your official title? Are you executive director?
A vice president. I'm a vice president of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and travel director for the state.
I think I knew that somewhere on a sheet of paper. I had it here somewhere. But you're not wearing a tie. I don't have all my paper here. We're trying to do this informally. I've known Dave for a while. He's always been very kind to me and always there when we call. So I really appreciate it today. Dave, the governor's order now goes to the end of the month. And we really, no one knows where this is really going. The governor can't know, legislature can't know, but it does go to the end of the month. And from a southeastern Michigan perspective, many of our viewers and listeners here in Oakland County have cottages up north, and they got one day to get things situated. And you've been very nice, but I'm sure most of the people in the small towns up north would prefer that most of us down here stay down here.
Well, the truth of it is that the less we travel right now, the better it will be for us in a very short time in the near future. And this is the time to really buckle down and do all we can. And, you think about the crises that we've dealt with collectively as a society over the years. Just recently, 9/11 or the big recession we dealt with, those were issues that we dealt with together. And just like this, we didn't know what the outcome would be. What we did know is there were things that we could all do to impact that outcome. And there were difficult things to do. In this case, think about this. What we're asked to do is stay home. How difficult is that? I know it's not easy and it's not normal, but compared to what we were asked to do and what we had to do at times of crisis in wars, think about this. We're asked to stay home. We're asked to give up golf for a while. We're asked to deal with things like not going up north. We just can't wait to do. I know there's this pent-up demand after winter, this cabin fever. I understand that. But if we all do our part by staying apart, we'll be able to get back there sooner. That's the truth. The science shows it. Everybody knows it. It's proven over and over. So if we do some suffering now, we'll be able to celebrate together later. It's that simple.
Now, Dave, really well said. You said it as well as anybody. We all know that. And it's still challenging, but I appreciate your inspirational words, and they do help, especially considering the source. You represent the travel industry here in Michigan, and they're really taking it on the chin. How are our travel, I mean, our hotels, our resorts, our summer spots, it's one of the most vital components of our economy here in Michigan. How are our friends in the tourism business doing?
Well, we're in really rough shape right now. If you think about it, the travel and tourism industry, roughly half of the employees in this industry are out of work right now. They're laid off, they're furloughed, they're scared. So many of our people are gone through a major economic crisis as those of us who were in the boomer category. We remember those days when there was 12% unemployment. And I personally remember standing in line outside of the employment office. There were so many people. We would stand in line, and it was just going through the parking lot back there in the early 80s, I guess it was. But millennials have never gone through this before, so it's especially difficult for them. And we have a lot of them in our industry just starting out and getting their careers started. So it's difficult for them. The Michigan Restaurant Lodging Association has put together a foundation, and they're looking for donations to help with that. I'd encourage you to go to the MRLA website and give whatever you can, $5, $10, whatever it is. It all generates and builds for them. And then they're giving out $500 checks to people who have been displaced in the industry. I know we're all suffering, but you think about it, these are the people who make our day. They serve us, they treat us well when we're out traveling and we're going to our local restaurants and such, and they live on tips. They live on their hourly salary and such, but they also live on tips. So they're especially hurting right now. I'm thankful that the state of Michigan, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and the feds have all come together to provide these services to help, but it takes a while to get that in motion. So whatever you can do would be great. Now, when it comes to the industry moving forward, when we are allowed to travel again, what I'm hoping for is a resounding stay in Michigan program, that people in Michigan who had to give up their trips down to Florida or Alabama for their spring breaks, I know that's really something people love to do as it gets warmer down there and it's still cold up here. But when we're allowed to travel, it's going to be warmer out there. And I'm hoping that people, instead of taking those trips out of the state, that they'll stay here and they'll be part of the solution to bring us back quickly. And now I have to tell you, I'm never somebody who says don't travel out of the state. I believe in the value of traveling around the world, and for us to be able to see what happens in other places and to explore other destinations, to get to know other people around the world. It's good for us in so many ways, if only it makes us appreciate where we live that much better. But right now, this year, I'm going to plead with people to please keep your travel dollars here in Michigan. That will help us come back that much stronger for leisure communities. And there are places like Detroit, it's going to be a year before that comeback is really felt, because they really depend on big events like the auto show and the Grand Prix and all these things that have been canceled. So when the time is right, I'm begging of you, please, be a tourist in your own town, stay in your area, support Detroit and the region as well, because that will pay big dividends down the road.
Dave Lorenz of Travel Michigan. Is the industry ready to ramp back up quickly?
Not really. The challenge here is that this is something, we all deal with crisis management planning, and most of that is in the communications area. And it doesn't matter what you plan for. Certain things like this just can't be anticipated. And when you start to really realize the impact that is now being felt, well, then people start to put plans in motion and they start to really look at things. And you're doing this, you're trying to work out plans while you are also furloughing people. So you don't have that support team that you need to really make sure that those plans can be put into motion as best as they can and as quickly as they can. So it's going to be a while before we come back. but we will, and we will do it in stages. What's going to happen is you will start to see some of our destinations opening up more and more of their restaurants, more of their attractions will slowly start to open up. And if there's one, I guess, a gracious thing about this, it is that this happened at our slowest time. So Michigan is not going to feel the tremendous negative impact as a state like Florida that they live on their spring business. The hot weather, the super hot weather will be here for them very soon, and then people just don't travel down there. So I feel for them. But they have bigger attractions that have deeper pockets, and they'll be able to come back on their own, I think, a little bit better than most of our businesses. Most of the travel industry in Michigan is small business, mom and pop businesses. And people, I think, sometimes don't understand what travel and tourism is. It's not just hotels, golf courses, and ski resorts. It's all these connections you have at the consumer level, the retailers. Think about all those retail connections you have, restaurants, and there are all the other things you do in destinations, all the nature-based experiences, the sport activities, all that. So they'll come back in their time, but it's going to be a while. All the research I see from the people who really know how these things can go show that we'll start to see a real rebound in the second half of the third quarter. Fourth quarter, there'll be a bigger rebound, but a state like Michigan, we have less activity in the fourth quarter. So if you look at it from a microcosm basis, just here in Michigan, if we do our part and we travel here in Michigan this summer and this fall, we can really start to make an impact to come back.
All right, Dave. I assume that the governor is getting input from the travel industry, and if that is happening, I assume that's probably coming from your desk. Are you talking? Do you mind if I ask if you? Well, I'm going to ask. You don't have to answer. Are you talking to the governor? Is the governor, as these difficult decisions are being made, getting input from your industry?
Certainly getting input from the industry. I've not personally talked to the governor in several weeks. Let's just say she's busy because, man, oh man, I would not want that job, especially now. But the thing is, our interests are being heard by the administration. They're doing all they can. And here's the thing. I know there's a lot of criticism about some of the things that are being ordered right now. And I understand that. I understand people's desire to get back to doing the things like gardening and such. I really understand it. But so does the administration. They're looking at many things, and they can't think along certain lines like just tourism. They have to think about the broader picture. And as much as I, too, more than I can tell you, want people out there traveling, the fact is that the administration needs to look at everything. And the number one issue right now is to get us healthy, because nothing else is going to move forward until we get physically healthy again. And that means stay home, stay safe now, dream about your travel experiences and plan for them. And I would actually recommend that you start making your bookings as well for summer and fall, because there will be all this pent-up demand. Pure Michigan has been very successful over the years to gain the attention of people from all over the country, all over the world. And even now, as we operate without budget, that top of mind awareness is still out there to some degree. We're going to do all we can in the state, working with the media to encourage them to share this word that now's the time to travel here, even without budget. But make your bookings now, because it's going to get busy. And the thing is, if you book now, don't worry if this stay-at-home order continues on longer than I believe it will. And if you have to change those dates, you'll be allowed to do that. Yeah. So make those bookings now. People aren't going to feel comfortable flying for quite a while. They're going to stay closer to home. Most of our travel will be by car. That works to our benefit, by the way, because we do really well with drive-to experiences. So book your experiences now. If you want to get a place, especially up north this summer, book it now. Or this fall, book it now. Go to michigan.org. And as a way to start thinking about some of the things that maybe you haven't thought about as a travel opportunity, we have put together a whole bunch of virtual travel experiences, which we're posting on Michigan.org. And that'll get you thinking about places to go to. For instance, I'm on the west side of the state. I can't tell you the live cameras and the virtual experiences at the Detroit Zoo. I can't wait to go to the Detroit Zoo. I've been there many times. I'm going to see it in a different way now after I've seen the virtual experiences that are out there. So do that. Go to Michigan.org, explore those virtual experiences, dream today, travel tomorrow, and let's get healthy right now.
All right, Dave Lorenz, I know you didn't have a tie on today, but we're going to bottle all that up and keep playing it over and over again because that's a great message. We really appreciate you taking a couple of minutes for us, a last-minute request. And, I normally am not doing a radio show. This is fun to get back in it, but I'm running an event business. You're running travel here in the state of Michigan. We're both in this travel industry. I appreciate your projections, and what you're saying is what I'm hearing in my business as well, that second half of third quarter, things are going to start coming back. We're going to see hopefully good action in fourth quarter on the business side for meetings and events in our state, which are also critical to our travel business here. The big conference, the Detroit Regional Chambers Mackinac Policy Conference, rescheduled for mid-August at the Grand Hotel. And, we hope that that's a bellwether, Dave, of the beginning of the event and corporate side of this all coming back too.
Yeah, and I think it will be. And I've been trying to reach out to as many festivals and events as I can, and just begging them to delay, to postpone rather than cancel. I know I've run festivals. They're tough. You need people to come together to do that, so they need that organizational time. So I understand some who just had to cancel, but the more we can postpone, people will come together. There'll be a desire to come together like there hasn't been in years, to celebrate community spirit. So I'm hoping that we can postpone as much as we can. And in the interim, we can get out, be a tourist in our own town at the right time. It's going to happen. We're going to be okay.
All right. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for being so charitable with your time. Great message. And we'll keep in touch.
Good to be with you.
Dave Lorenz joining us from Travel Michigan, Vice President, Michigan Economic Development Corporation. And there you go. You hear him on the radio.